Hi everybody, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. It is so wonderful to see your amazing smiling faces yet again. I have been gone for a hot minute, and for that I really apologize. There is no excuse. I'm not going to sit here and try to justify why I've been gone as long as I have. I have had some things going on in my personal life and some medical issues, and I still am having those problems, but I miss my channel, and I've just decided I'm going to try to find a way to balance it and bring my channel back, maybe only filming one day a week if possible, and just film as many videos as I can in that time frame. But I'm super excited to be back. I've been wanting to come back for quite a long time now, and what better way to come back to my channel than with the mid-year Freakout tag. It's one of my favorite tags to watch on BookTube, and I really enjoyed the last one that I filmed, which was back in 2019. And yeah, let's just get into this. I'm really behind on keeping you up to date with my rating, obviously, because I've been rating the whole time that I've been gone. But I'm going to just start by the beginning of the year. If you guys want to know more about 2020, I might do a video about that, just estimating how that whole year went. B. Desperation by Stephen King. This probably isn't a surprise to anybody. You knew that Stephen King was going to end up in here somewhere. He is one of my absolute favorite authors, and this chunker I have been wanting to get to forever. I saw the movie years and years back, and I only saw it one time, but I wasn't crazy about it. I thought it felt really weird and not in a good way, and that the acting was over the top, despite that it had a really great cast, and that put me off from wanting to read the book. I put it off forever. I went ahead and I bought it because I want his entire collection, and I eventually decided, I'm like, you know what? I want a big Stephen King book. I was in the mood for something really long, something really big and intense. And I looked over and I saw Desperation, and this definitely fit the bill. And when I tell you that I read this book and was completely captivated, I would not be lying. It completely drew me in. I think it's one of his better books overall, on top of being the best book that I have read this year. Desperation follows a cast of characters who, by chance, end up in the small town of Desperation, Nevada. Now, one by one, they are stopped on the road by a policeman for various reasons, and they completely entrust in him because he is a member of law enforcement. They put their trust in him. They believe that what he is doing is right, even though they get really bad vibes off of him. There's one couple that he slipped in, "I'll kill you" in the Miranda warning when he took them in, and they thought that they imagined it. But he takes them all into this jail, and things get really weird and twisted, and they know that something is extremely wrong with this man. I'm not going to go into this too much further in this video because there are so many other wonderful books to get to, but I will do a separate video on this because it deserves its own video. It is really great. I love this. There's a companion novel that I have not read yet called The Regulators, and the covers together make one awesome picture. I'm not going to get that out right now because I haven't read The Regulators yet, and I don't think that would be right, but I just think it's really cool overall. This is a great concept. Next prompt is, what is the best sequel that you have read this year? And for me, I have not read too many sequels, but of the ones that I have, that would definitely go to Two for the Dough by Janet Ivanovich. This is in the Stephanie Plum series, and for those of you that are not aware, the Stephanie Plum series is a comedy mystery series based on a lingerie buyer turned bounty hunter. She's quirky, she's funny, she's completely unskilled and clumsy, but yet she always gets her man. These books are hysterical. The more recent ones that I've read have been a little bit stale. It kind of seems like the ideas are running thin, but there's almost 30 books in the series now, so that's to be expected. But the early ones in particular really, really stood out. I've read the entire series before, and I loved them, and I decided I wanted a reread, so I'm making my way back through them right now, and Two for the Dough had me laughing the entire way through. I recommend not only this book, but the entire series. If you can put the time into them, they're light, fluffy reads. You don't necessarily have to read them in order. There's certain scenarios, certain storylines where it is beneficial because they will bring up past events, but it's usually done in such a minor way that it's not a big deal or a major spoiler if you end up skipping one, if you can't find the book for whatever reason. They're just, each one follows different cases, and they're really funny. I think it was a really original idea, and I would love to see more things like this from other authors, kind of entwining comedy and mystery together. I really, really like that, but you don't see it very often. It's either over the top with the jokes and the funniness, or it's so obscure that you can hardly classify it as a comedy. But these, I feel like, are a really perfect blend. And the next prompt is anticipated release. And I actually just read about this one, and I've never heard of this author before, so I don't know how well I'm going to enjoy this, but the name of it is The Killing Kind, and that is by a woman named Jane Casey. It seems like it's a thriller based on a stalking type of situation, and it just seemed really intriguing. I will put a screenshot on the screen somewhere for you, and yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that. I want to read that and see if this is an author that I might be interested in, and see if it is a good thriller to put into my repertoire, because we all know how much I love thrillers over here. The next prompt is new release. I have not read any 2021 releases this year. I was surprised by that. I thought that I had, but when I was going through my Goodreads list, I couldn't find any. So I was wrong, but I will put the most recent release, and that is a release from 2020, and that is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is a prequel to the Hunger Games series, and it follows President Snow in his youth. And I have mixed feelings on this book. It's a good foray into the series, and it's nice to kind of get a little bit of an origin story, but I felt like it was trying to force sympathy for Snow, and just knowing what he was going to become in regular trilogy, that was really, really a hard emotion for me to get out of this. Maybe other people did. I'm really not sure. I seem like I've seen a few reviews where people really, really enjoyed this one. And like I said, I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't think it's a bad book. I don't think it's horribly written. It's interesting. It's just, he is our main character, and I could not be sympathetic for him. Maybe if this had been the first book in the series I ever read, it would have been a little bit easier to see where he was coming from and to sympathize with him, but all I think of was situations that he would put Cass in and things that he would do to the districts later on. So I really just couldn't get behind it. Did appreciate it. I think it was interesting, but I would have preferred another story in current timeline to see like where Katniss's life went with Pia and like how their futures are. I would have preferred something along those lines. Okay, the next prompt is the biggest disappointment that you read this year. There is no question for this. It is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. For me, that would have to be Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. How funny is it that the biggest disappointment and the biggest surprise were from the same author? I shouldn't have been too surprised. I've heard a lot of really, really amazing things about this book, but just the way that it was done captivated me so, so much. This follows the story of a woman who has disappeared, and all of these clues and things start coming around that implicate her husband very heavily, and we're seeing it from his point of view as well as from her point of view. And so we as the reader can kind of tell, while he has animosity for his wife, we really can't believe that he is involved in this, but at the same time the evidence is stacked against him. So it's really, really intriguing to pull you in that manner. I don't want to say any more about it. I will do a book review on this and go into it in more depth. His favorite new author, and for me that would be Leanne Moriarty. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name. I'm sure you guys will let me know down in the comments if I'm saying it wrong. This is the only book that I have read by her, Big Little Lies, and I loved this book. It was so gripping, so intriguing, weaving this web of deceit and following these different characters and trying to figure out who done it. And you don't really see that very often anymore. You usually know who your villain is, at least in the more recent years. It's not very often that you see a classic whodunit, and it was kind of like that in this. You knew that something major went down from pretty much the very first page, but you don't really know who is responsible. So it was nice to try to work through the cast and piece the clues together and try to figure it out. And I loved her writing style. I don't know if that was just something that was exclusive to this book, if that is a style that she continues with later on, but I am intrigued to find out. I will definitely be reading more by her, and I'm really looking forward to it. She's pretty good. I like this. The next prompt is favorite crush. I'm not really going to answer this prompt because I don't get crushes on characters anymore when I read. I did as a teenager. Now, not so much. I have characters that I like and characters that I don't like. And if they stick out to me. If I don't like them, then I pretty much don't think about them after the end of the book. The next prompt is new favorite character. And for that, I'm going to go back to the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Not Professor Snow. Obviously, you already heard in the previous answer my opinions on this character were not very positive. However, I really liked the character of Lucy in here, which is the character that we are aiming for to win the Hunger Games. I liked her personality and the way she looked at life. She reminded me a lot, actually, of Luna from Harry Potter, just with the quirkiness. So it kind of made me envision if Luna was in this type of situation. So that was interesting, but I really, really enjoyed her character. I liked the pages that she was on. I wish we'd got to know just a little bit more about her, but she is definitely my new favorite character. Book that made you cry. This one, I'm not going to be able to talk about too much because I'll start crying again. It's actually this is a nonfiction book based on a real true crime case, and that is Pretty Little Killers, The Truth Behind the Savage Murder of Skylar. Book that made you cry. This one, I'm not going to be able to talk about too much because I'll start crying again. It's actually this is a nonfiction book based on a real true crime case, and that is Pretty Little Killers, The Truth Behind the Savage Murder of Skylar Niece. This is a story about a teenage girl in Virginia that was murdered by her two best friends in 2012, and this follows the case from her being reported missing to her body being found and eventually the convictions. This is very, very, very sad. It gets my blood boiling, especially with the motive behind this tragedy. It's just, there were so many things about this that were devastating, and I might do another video about it where I can really focus on just this, but this was a tragedy that did not need to happen. And this book, while it's not the best written book in the world, it's very concise with the information, and it really puts you in the mindset of all three girls. And it's so sad. I don't understand people that do things like this. I mean, this was brutal, extremely brutal. But yeah, if you want to cry and you typically have a hard time crying at books, you might want to lead towards a true crime case, because that at least works a little bit better for me, because you know that this actually happened. It's not just a figment of somebody's imagination. And yeah, I wish that this hadn't happened for this poor family. My heart hurts for them. Up is book that made you happy, and that one is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This didn't make me happy in the traditional sense, like it just lifted my spirits and just put me in an instant good mood. But this is one of those series that I put off reading for the longest time simply because it was as popular as it is. I'm not going to go into the plot in this video. Pretty much everybody that follows BookTube has heard of the Mortal Instruments series, even if you haven't read it yourself. I don't think there is a single channel that I watch that has not featured these books at one point or another. But I was waiting for the hype to die down, because I don't really like to read books when they're hyped, because I feel like it skewers the reading experience, and I don't want hype to affect how I feel about a book. I don't want to build it up in my mind to be something more than it really is. But the hype for these never died down. So I was thinking, well, it's probably a type of situation like with Harry Potter, where they're just so good and they're such timeless classics that the hype really isn't going to go away. So I just decided to go ahead and take a chance and read it. And I've read the first 3 so far. I haven't gotten very far into the series, but so far I'm really, really enjoying them. And it's just that they're a lot of fun. They're campy at times. You know, it's it's YA, and it's not the best done YA, I feel, but it's fun, it's engaging, it's something that you can pass the time with and enjoy and get to know the characters and feel like they're really your friends. So in that regard, this really made me happy to get started on this series and to find that I don't hate them. Is most beautiful book that you have read this year, and that is for me Revival by Stephen King. I love this cover. I mean, look at that. It's it doesn't even do justice on the camera. It doesn't look that amazing, but it's with the blue and the lightning striking down, and I just think it's a really, really cool effect. I enjoyed this book a lot. It wasn't better than Desperation, but it was up there. It was a lot better than I expected it to be, for sure. I'm slowly making my way through Stephen King. I would have them all done in 2019, but that is not happening. I'm a lot closer than now, and hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm not going to say by the end of 2021. That's not going to happen. But hopefully by the end of 2022. All right, everybody, and that is my mid-year Freakout tag. I am so excited to be back here on BookTube. I promise you, I am going to try to be a lot more diligent with being out videos. Like I said, my health kind of gotten in the way, but
I'm going to designate, at least this is what I'm going to try for right now. I'm going to designate 1 day a week to spend filming and editing videos. That way, even if I'm not doing very well, then I can still have content to put for you guys. Miss the bookish community. I miss reading all you guys' comments and watching videos. I haven't even really been watching many, but I want to be back. There are not many people in my personal life that I can share all of my bookish love with. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.